It's 8 o'clock, and now on WKYT this morning, authorities in Garrett County are investigating a suspicious death this morning. We'll have the latest details. The wildfires in southern and eastern Kentucky are still burning, and now they may be getting worse. And the Wildcats in a nail-biter last night, but UK came up just short. Lee K. Howard will have all the highlights from last night's game coming up on WKYT this morning.
This is WKYT This Morning.
Good morning to you. I'm Michelle Chamberlain. Thanks so much for watching this Sunday, November 6th. And it is 8 o'clock, just in case you're wondering this morning as you wake up after that time change. I know I had a bit of a panic this morning. I forgot to change one of my clocks, and it scared me. Meteorologist Mike Lennon joins us now. He had the same situation, right?
Yes, I forgot to change one of my clocks. So when I woke up, I was a little alarmed, pun intended, but I did just fine. We're here this morning, and that extra hour of sleep came at the perfect time. It looks like Mother Nature needed that extra hour of sleep too, because now with the sun rising earlier, we are being treated to a beautiful start to our Sunday morning thus far, and none prettier right now than Breathitt County. This is my favorite tower camera to show off, and for good reason. I mean, that just shows off the beauty of the Bluegrass State, and sunny skies over top of it make things look that much better. Now, you can't really tell just by looking at the image there, but it is still pretty chilly across the Bluegrass State. Most spots sitting right now in the lower 40s, starting to get out of the upper 30s. But regardless, you will need warm clothing if you plan on getting your Sunday started. You're heading to church, maybe get some food shopping done. Be sure that you are dressed warm. Heading into the next few days, we are looking at some change finally getting here as we get into Election Day on Tuesday. Coming up, I'll show you when we could be finally dealing with some rainfall in Kentucky and the first chance for some flakes in the forecast. I'll show you when things might start to feel a little bit more like winter coming up in about 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mike. We want to tell you about some developing news this morning out of Garrett County. Police are investigating a death they say is suspicious. It happened last night on Price Court, which is just off of Richmond Road in Lancaster. WKYT's Sabira Rayford is at our live desk this morning with more details on this investigation. Sabira, what are we learning this morning about the situation?
Michelle, we've been on the phones all morning trying to get as many details as we can for you. I did get a hold of the coroner, and he says 2 deputies have taken the body to Frankfort for an autopsy. Police tell us they are calling this a suspicious death. They were out on Price Court for hours, blocking anyone, including our cameras, from getting anywhere near the house until the scene was cleared. Police say the person is an adult woman, but won't say much more. They tell us their next step in the investigation is to wait for the coroner to give a cause of death so they can determine if this is a criminal case. We're going to stay on top of this story all day and try to bring you the latest information on the investigation. As soon as the coroner tells us the newest details, we will tell you. At the live desk, Sabira Rayford, WKYT.
This morning, the wildfires in southern and eastern Kentucky continue to burn, and officials are worried they'll only get worse. The Kentucky National Guard says its helicopters have dropped more than 120,000 gallons of water on the flames. A Division of Forestry spokesperson says about 11,000 acres of land are on fire, and 40 counties have active burn bans. The biggest fire is in Harlan County. Crews there say 2 fires have combined into one and is burning 7,400 acres. Kentucky is still under a state of emergency this morning, and we will continue to track the progress crews are making on these wildfires on WKYT and online at WKYT.com. New this morning, firefighters are trying to figure out what caused a large house fire in Clark County overnight. The fire happened on Holly Avenue in Winchester. The Winchester Fire Department says the house was abandoned, but they think homeless people had been squatting in the house. The fire chief says the fire started on the top floor in the center of the home, and he tells us that's very unusual. Nobody was injured. A southern Kentucky woman is recovering after investigators say she was dragged by a truck along a Whitley County road. The sheriff says 40-year-old Sheila Lawson ran out of gas on Kentucky 92. That's when Jeffrey Melton stopped to help. The sheriff tells us Melton took Lawson to Williamsburg to get gas and then took her back to her car. When Lawson got out of the truck, Melton drove off, thinking she had gotten her gas out of his truck bed. But the sheriff says Lawson was still hanging onto the truck and was dragged about 300 feet.
I feel comfortable that he wasn't going fast because his intentions in going west on 92 was to turn around and go back to Williamsburg. He was finding a location to turn around.
Lawson was flown to UK Hospital, and the hospital tells us they no longer have a patient by that name. Well, the 2016 presidential election is just 2 days away, and both candidates had scary situations out on the campaign trail yesterday. The media bus following Hillary Clinton running mate Tim Kaine was slammed into by a car while heading to the airport. Nobody was injured. And Katy Perry campaigned for Clinton in Philadelphia. As for Donald Trump, he was in Reno, Nevada when Secret Service suddenly jumped on stage. That was after someone mistook a sign being held up in a crowd as a gun.
Somebody yells something about a gun.
Right.
And so that's where things really got out of hand. I mean, people are just, kicking me, grabbing my arms, twisting them. And finally, I'm very thankful for the law enforcement who was able to quickly come.
Trump was okay and returned to the stage to finish his rally. We'll have live coverage of the election right here on WKYT on Tuesday night. A Lexington police officer is leading the charge to clean up a decades-old cemetery in the center of town. More than 10,000 people are buried at Cove Haven Cemetery near Georgetown Street. Officer Ryan Holland and community members have been working to clean up the cemetery. Officer Holland says the work is a small step toward a much larger goal.
I hope with projects like this that people do see that we can come together, put our differences aside, and get things accomplished. And this is just a starting point for things that we can get done in the city of Lexington.
Officer Holland says work will continue on the cemetery for at least the next week when a new fence line is installed. He says after that, dead trees will be cut down and eventually a new gate will be installed at the front of the property. The UK Wildcats had a tough game last night, losing to Georgia 27-24, but with Florida losing to Arkansas, UK isn't out of the SEC East race just yet. Here's Lee K. Howard with a look at last night's highlights.
Well, the Wildcats had a big opportunity last night hosting Georgia. They were tied atop the SEC East after a Florida loss going into the game. And Kentucky was down early 7-0 when Benny Snell took the direct snap out of the Wildcat formation. And the young fella pushes it in for his 9th touchdown of the season to tie the game at 7. Following a muff punt by Georgia, Kentucky operating out of the Wildcat formation once again. This time it's Boom Williams taking the direct snap and bouncing his way 13 yards to give UK a 4-point lead. It was 14-13 at the half. Into the third quarter on 2nd and goal. Wildcats strike again. Snell, the direct snap, pushes the pile. Originally ruled down at the 1-yard line, but the call was reversed and ruled a touchdown. Kentucky had a 21-16 lead in the fourth quarter. Sony Michel then finds the seam. He's going 26 yards to give Georgia its first lead since the first quarter. 2-point conversion made it 24-21 Georgia. Wildcats would drive the field on its next possession, but would settle for an Austin McGinnis 25-yard field goal to tie the score at 24. Georgia would then eat up the final 2:45 on the clock, and Rodrigo Blankenship kicks a 25-yard chip shot to win it for the Bulldogs, narrowly edging the Wildcats 27-24. Georgia hands Kentucky its first loss since October the 1st. Wildcats are still 1 win away from a bowl bid. They'll have another couple more chances, 3 to be exact, to get that 6th win on the season. Back to you.
And don't forget, tonight is the second UK men's basketball exhibition game. They play against Asbury College out of Jessamine County. The game starts at 7 at Rupp Arena, and if you can't make it to the game, you can watch it on the SEC Network. WKYT This Morning is just getting started. The presidential election is just 2 days away, and computerized polls will be projecting the winner all the way until the end. But coming up in 10 minutes, we'll show you why a computer was used on election night back in 1952. It's a pretty cool story. And it's almost Thanksgiving, which means it's almost turkey time. And a big group of turkeys decided to invade a California neighborhood. This is a great video. We'll show you the story coming up after Mike's forecast.
Even though the Wildcats couldn't get it done, it's still blue skies over Big Blue Nation here on Sunday. Coming up, I'll show you how long we stick around for before we finally get some rain back in the forecast.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with meteorologist Mike Linden.
A gorgeous start as we get our Sunday started here in the Bluegrass. Blue skies, but pretty chilly still at the surface. And as we look toward downtown Lexington, you can see there that the cloud cover really light. We are seeing a bit more wispy clouds this morning than what we have seen in days past, but don't anticipate them not only sticking around for much longer, but just not bringing us much of anything. You can see on the Defender radar network the clouds beginning to fade away and move toward the south as cooler air continues to work its way in from the northeast. High pressure dominating the Midwest and keeping Kentucky and Ohio and Illinois dry. We're just not going to see not only the cloud cover, but just not going to see the rainfall just yet. We will have to wait a few more days for this cold front right now over the Pacific Northwest to work its way all the way eastward across quite a few time zones to finally shake things up here in the Commonwealth. Temperatures as we get your morning started right now in the mid to low 40s, a few spots lagging behind a little bit. Montgomery County 36 degrees, the state capital 39, with Lexington leading the charge at 43 and Breathitt County at about 46. So kind of all over the place, but nonetheless still chilly as we get our morning going. You've got to dress appropriately. Heading into the afternoon, warm, or at least warm by this time of year standards, relatively mild in the grand scheme of things, but still really nice for you in the afternoon today. Temperatures working their way back into the mid 60s. With sunny skies. A beautiful Sunday, but it's a double-edged sword. While it will look nice and it should feel nice as well, this is not the weather that you need when you're talking about wildfires burning across the state. You need rainfall, and it looks like we're still going to have to wait a couple of days for some change to finally get here. Check it out. This is 9 o'clock this morning on your hour by hour. We'll advance through the next few days, and I'll show you when the rain gets here. Heading into Sunday afternoon, mild temperatures in the mid 60s under sunny skies. A beautiful Sunday. Once again, a day to get outside and enjoy it. Heading into Monday morning, chilly temperatures once again with most spots falling back into the upper 30s and low 40s. And into the afternoon, a little bit warmer than where we'll be today, with quite a few spots nearing back on the lower 70s. It isn't until overnight Monday heading into Tuesday that we see the cloud cover return, which should not only warm those temperatures up a little bit in the morning hours back into the mid 40s, but it will also signal the rainfall getting here. This is that cold front right now over the Pacific Northwest that gets here Tuesday afternoon and into Tuesday evening. Not only cools temperatures down, but also brings with it the rain showers. So finally some change getting back into the forecast. It looks like we'll just have to wait until Election Day for it to finally get here. Until then, mostly sunny with mild temperatures in the mid to high 60s. Couple spots again could even sneak into the lower 70s. But once we get past Election Day there, the chance for rain showers returns, and then temperatures really drop off. After Veterans Day on Friday, we could be looking at the first flakes of the season heading into next Saturday. We just need temperatures to be cold enough, and right now it looks like they should be.
Mike, we had 80 degrees almost, 2 weeks ago? Was it even last week? And now you're talking about flakes.
Hey, we're getting close to Thanksgiving, and you're seeing Christmas decorations in stores now, so.
I was kind of enjoying the 80-degree weather in the fall.
Yeah, well, we are. There's no stopping this train. We're going forward.
So Spain has the annual running of the bulls, but in California, we can call this the running of the turkeys.
More than 24 turkeys were caught on surveillance cameras taking a nice stroll through a California neighborhood. Cars and even a school bus had to slow down and wait for them to get out of the road. Now, of course, with Thanksgiving just a few weeks away, this flock of turkeys, well, you can either say they just wanted to have a good time or they were trying to get out of town for the holiday.
They're saying, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I was reading an article, and you'll appreciate this. They said they were gobbling up all the attention, those turkeys were. Come on, no response?
You know,
You're the pun
you
king.
used this pun already.
That was the other hour.
Gotta have some new puns.
Oh, Mike. When WKYT This Morning returns, computers have been a big part of television coverage of Election Day, but what if we told you that goes all the way back to the 1950s? We'll have that story after the break. But before we go to break, Tuesday night's Mega Millions jackpot is $54 million, and Wednesday night's Powerball jackpot, $236 million. Thanks for joining us on this Sunday morning. The presidential election, can you believe it, is just 2 days away, and computerized polls are a big part of it. Polls change every week, predicting who is in the lead in every state. But let's take it back to the very first televised presidential election, all the way back to 1952. And yes, you may be surprised to know it used a computer too. Jamie Yukas reports.
The big election night, 1952.
It was the first national broadcast of a presidential election, the 1952 race between Dwight Eisenhower and Adlai Stevenson. Walter Cronkite was in the anchor chair.
No state has been decided as yet. General Eisenhower is leading at this particular moment.
It was the first time the network used a computer to predict the outcome of an election.
This is not a joke or a trick. It's an experiment. We think it's going to work.
Newsman Charles Cullingwood struggled to explain the UNIVAC, an enormous computer housed miles away in Philadelphia.
On the right of the UNIVAC, there's something which looks like a typewriter. That's the way UNIVAC talks.
But not always on cue.
Can you say something, UNIVAC? Have you got anything to say to the television audience? You're a very impolite machine, I must say. Have you got a prediction for us, UNIVAC?
The team also struggled with the early version of a hands-free microphone.
I'll put on this gadget, is that all right?
For reporter Doug Edwards, it led to an on-air mishap.
The Republic. Excuse me.
Even with a few hiccups, the newscast was considered a triumph for CBS News, as well as for UNIVAC.
He can remember 15 million digits or alphabetical characters.
As the election swept Eisenhower to victory, Cronkite helped steer the nation into the start of the computer age. Jamie Yukas, CBS News, New York.
Your time now is 8:21. There's still more to come on WKYT this morning. Sports and weather are next.
Just when it looked like Kentucky had its 5th SEC win and its bowl ticket, the Georgia Bulldogs came back to kick a game-winning field goal. We'll have the highlights for you coming up next in sports.
Welcome back to WKYT this morning. If you're heading out early this morning, well, be sure to dress appropriately. That extra hour of sleep, certainly nice, but that doesn't mean that we just fast forward our temperatures. It is still pretty chilly as we get your morning started in the upper 30s and lower 40s. So if you're getting dressed early this morning, maybe to head out to church, be sure that you have some warm clothes to keep yourself comfortable before you head out. We're looking at the Defender Radar Network now, not seeing very much going on this morning. Some thinner cloud cover over southern and southwestern Kentucky, but all in all, still going to make for a really good looking afternoon today. Heading into the mid-60s, which is warmer than normal for this time of year, a mild sunny day in the bluegrass and staying dry as well. Lee K. Howard is back in next with sports.
And good morning to you. Kentucky entered last night's game against Georgia tied atop the SEC East standings and just one win away from a bowl bid. All the Cats had to do was defeat a talented Georgia team, and it was an electric crowd, the largest one of the season at Commonwealth Stadium. Georgia would get on the board first. Jacob Eason connects with Isaiah McKenzie over the middle. He's got the edge, and he's got 38 yards in front of him for the touchdown. 7-0 Bulldogs. Wildcats put together an impressive drive on its next possession. Boom Williams bounces to the outside. Got to pick up 30 yards on this play to set up 1st and goal for the Wildcats. The very next play, Benny Snell takes the direct snap out of the Wildcat formation, and the young fella won't be denied. His 9th of the season, game tied at 7 apiece. After Georgia tacked on a field goal, UK forced to punt on its next possession. Just barely got the punt away. Georgia's McKenzie back to receive it, but Marcus McWilson delivers the hit, forcing a fumble. J.D. Harmon there to recover for the Wildcats, setting up excellent field position. Kentucky operating out of the Wildcat once again. Boom Williams takes the snap, bounces his way 13 yards to give UK the 14-10 lead. It was 14-13 Wildcats at the half. Into the third quarter we go. Kentucky at the Georgia 15-yard line. Snell takes the snap, finds the edge, hurdles the defender down to the 1-yard line. Then on 2nd and goal, Wildcats strike again. Snell takes the direct snap, pushes his pile. Originally ruled down at the 1-yard line, but the call was reversed, ruled a touchdown. Kentucky had a 21-16 lead. In the fourth quarter we go. Sony Michel finds the seam. He's going 26 yards to give Georgia its first lead since the first quarter. 2-point conversion made it 24-21 Georgia. The Wildcats drove the field on its next possession, but would settle for an Austin McGinnis 25-yard field goal to tie the score at 24. Georgia would then eat up the final 2:45 on the clock, and Rodrigo Blankenship kicks the 25-yard chip shot to win it for the Bulldogs, narrowly edging the Wildcats. 27-24, Georgia defeats Kentucky. A tough loss for the Cats after the game appeared to be teed up for the Wildcats to win.
No doubt about it, but we're going to keep on swinging and keep on going back to work. So that we're not going to let, you win and you lose. And these guys are battling, and they're in the arena, and they're competing. And coaches are working hard, and we'll all stay together, and we all can do a better job. And we will. We'll go back to work, but we're not going to, we're not going to stop. And we had some good times, and tonight was a hard loss, and it was teed up. And again, I said that I appreciated that support because it was a great environment, and you wanted to deliver. And again, a game comes down to a few plays.
So a tough loss for the Wildcats. They still have 3 left on this schedule to get a 6th win and punch a bowl ticket. Another busy Sunday for the UK family as the Kentucky basketball team takes on Asbury for their final exhibition game before the regular season begins. That game is at 7 o'clock tonight. You can see it on the SEC Network. And that'll do it for your morning sports. Have a great day.
Now at 8:30 on WKYT this morning, police tell us a woman died suspiciously overnight in Garrett County. We'll give you the latest on the investigation. Today marks the 1-year anniversary of the day Richmond police officer Daniel Ellis died. We'll tell you what the police force has planned for today to remember him. And the 2016 election is just 2 days away. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are making their last push for voters. But hear why both campaigns had a scare last night. That's all coming up on WKYT this morning.
This is WKYT This Morning.
Good morning. I'm Michelle Chamberlain. Thanks so much for joining us on this Sunday, November 6th. And just in case you're wondering, it's 8:30. I know the time changed, and sometimes you wake up in a panic wondering what time it is. I know I did, as well as meteorologist Mike Linden. He joins us now with a look at today's forecast.
Well, Michelle, we are here on time, but that extra hour of sleep was fantastic. But looks like Mother Nature needed that extra hour of sleep as well, because look at the beautiful conditions we have going this morning. Of course, the sun rising earlier in the day now, and we are just being treated to a gorgeous look across the Bluegrass State. This is maybe my favorite tower camera to show off. This is in Jackson. Beautiful in Breathitt County this morning. A really great day maybe to go hiking. Just be sure that you dress appropriately because it is chilly out there right now, starting out in the upper 30s and lower 40s. That's across the board. A little quote unquote warmer in western Kentucky in the mid 40s. But all in all, we are looking at another mild, dry, sunny day this afternoon. There is some cloud cover out there, but nothing that thick and nothing that unfortunately is going to, or fortunately rather, would bring us any rainfall. What we need is that rainfall, especially to quell these wildfire concerns across the state. And it looks like some big change will arrive to the forecast as we head into the middle of the work week. We're not only talking rain, but snowflakes as well. Coming up, I'll show you when we could start to look a bit more like winter here in the Bluegrass.
Thank you so much, Mike. We want to tell you about some developing news this morning out of Garrett County. Lancaster police say they are investigating a death they say is suspicious. It happened last night on Price Court, which is just off of Richmond Road. WKYT's Sabira Rayford is at our live desk this morning with more details on this investigation. Sabira, what do we know so far this morning?
You know, Michelle, we are still working on getting more details on this investigation. Police did tell us they are calling this a suspicious death. Here's what else we know. Police say the person is an adult woman, but won't say much more. They were out on Price Court for hours, blocking anyone, including our cameras, from getting anywhere near the house until the investigation was complete. We also spoke with the Garrett County coroner, who told us this morning that 2 deputies have taken the body to Frankfort for an autopsy. Police tell us their next step in the investigation is to wait for the coroner to give a cause of death so they can determine if this is a criminal case. We're going to stay on top of this story to bring you the latest information. As soon as the coroner tells us the newest details, we will tell you. At the live desk, Sabira Rayford, WKYT.
Today marks the 1-year anniversary of the day Officer Daniel Ellis died after being shot on the job. Richmond police officer Daniel Ellis was shot while investigating a robbery on November 4th, 2015. He died 2 days later on this day 1 year ago. So the Richmond Police Department will honor Officer Ellis at their annual Turkey Bowl flag football game today. The game starts at 4 o'clock and they'll have a ceremony for Officer Ellis before the game. A sad anniversary in Jessamine County. It's been 1 year since a paramedic who was on the job was hit by a car. Nicholasville police say on November 4th, 2015, the ambulance John Mackey was in clipped a car, and when he got out to check the ambulance, a driver hit him. He was rushed to the hospital where he died on November 9th. Since his death, state lawmakers have passed a bill with his name attached to it. That bill aims to help Kentucky families. The John Mackey Memorial Act calls for families of fallen paramedics to receive $80,000 in death benefits. They also get free tuition to colleges and universities in the state. That act went into effect in July. New this morning, the man charged with kidnapping a woman and chaining her up in a storage container has admitted to police he has killed at least 7 people. Police say Todd Coleheb has admitted to shooting and killing 4 people in 2003 at a motorcycle shop. Police say he killed them because he was an angry customer. The woman he kidnapped, Kayla Brown, told investigators he shot and killed her boyfriend right in front of her before kidnapping her. Police have also found 2 more graves on his property. Lexington police are looking for a man they say is responsible for multiple burglaries. Police are looking for 18-year-old Antonio Bell. A warrant has been put out for his arrest, and police say he broke into a home on Indiana Avenue and could be a suspect in several other burglaries in other neighborhoods. As of now, Bell faces a burglary charge. Georgetown police are warning people about a phone scam going around the area. Police say callers are posing as Kentucky Utilities employees. They say they will be turning off your utilities in 15 minutes unless you put money on a prepaid credit card. Police say the calls are coming from the number on your screen. Police say this is a scam and you can always contact your utility company if you have any questions. A protester caused a security scare at a Donald Trump rally in Nevada last night while Hillary Clinton rallied with a pop star. Mark Albert has the latest on campaign 2016.
Secret Service agents quickly rushed Donald Trump off the stage in Reno, Nevada Saturday night after someone yelled gun while a protester approached the stage. A man was quickly taken into custody and escorted out of the building, but no weapon was found, and the protester was released.
Somebody yells something about a gun.
Right.
And so that's where things really got out of hand. I mean, people are just, kicking me, grabbing my arms, twisting them. And finally, I'm very thankful for the law enforcement who was able to quickly come.
Trump returned to the stage and thanked the Secret Service and his supporters who helped bring the suspect down.
You were amazing. Thank you, fellas. I saw what you were doing. That's a tough group of people right here. Thank you.
And another scare on the campaign trail Saturday night. A car slammed into the side of the media bus covering Clinton running mate Tim Kaine while the motorcade was headed to the airport. One reporter said he was thrown into the aisle. Katy Perry headlined a Get Out the Vote concert in Philadelphia. Clinton says the race is about the future.
To make sure that America lives up to its promise to every one of our people, especially every one of our children.
But in a sign that the race may be tightening more than they expected, President Obama has added a campaign stop in Michigan Monday to help get young voters to the polls before meeting up with the Democratic nominee for a final rally in Philadelphia. Mark Albert for CBS News, the White House.
And don't forget, WKYT will bring you all the latest election results and analysis on election night. You can tune in to WKYT, and you can also enjoy that 2-screen experience by visiting our website at WKYT.com. Your time now is 8:38. Coming up on WKYT this morning, are you looking for a new way to get your kids to do their chores? I know that's always an issue. A new app may help you solve that problem. We'll tell you about it after Mike's forecast.
A beautiful start over Kentucky once again, but you might not be able to see it or feel it by looking, but it is cold outside once again here in Kentucky. I'll show you when things start to change a little bit and we finally get back to some rainfall in the bluegrass. That's all coming up.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with meteorologist Mike Linden.
Over Big Blue Nation this morning, temperatures are chilly, but we are looking at another gorgeous day here in Kentucky. Temperatures right now starting out in the mid to high 30s and quite a few spots now sneaking into the low 40s. But looking at the live sky camera, Sunny skies, looks like we'll be seeing a lot of that moving forward, at least for today and for tomorrow as well. The Defender Radar Network showing us some cloud cover over southwestern and southern Kentucky, not bringing us anything of note really, but is producing for some temperatures in those spots in the mid to low 40s as we get going. All in all, high pressure is just dominating the big picture, keeping conditions dry and keeping us quite cool as well as that cold air from the north works its way into the Commonwealth. If you're looking for rainfall, well, you've got to look way west. That is where a cold front right now moving through Idaho and into Montana is sitting. That front will get here as we get into Election Day. So we still have to wait a few more days for some rain to get here. It's still quite a few time zones west of us. Until then, we'll continue to run through cold mornings and mild afternoons. And this morning is no different. Right now, the lower 40s across the board. The state capital at 39 degrees. All in all, if you're getting your morning started and you have to be outside, be sure that you dress appropriately. Grab that jacket with you. And even though you may not need it into the late stages of the afternoon, better to have it than not. Because once we get into that point, we are looking at temperatures in the mid 60s. So mild for this time of year, lots of sunshine as well. But when you're talking about fires burning across the state, these are not the conditions that you need. You definitely don't need dry conditions. And it looks like we finally will see some change from that as we get into the next few days. So let's take a look at your hour by hour and advance into the next few days. This is 9 a.m., so about a half an hour or so from now. We'll start you off with those temperatures in the 40s. Working our way into the middle of the day in the mid-60s under sunny skies. A relatively boring day when you're talking about weather. Heading into Monday morning, not too much going on as well, and into the afternoon, potentially even a bit warmer than where we'll be today. Could see quite a few spots sneaking into the low 70s. It's Tuesday, Election Day, where we will see plenty of change work its way back into the forecast. Some thicker clouds out there to kick off the morning hours. Notice 6 a.m. Temperatures a little bit warmer in the mid-40s. That's because of the cloud cover. But moving into the afternoon, that is where not only the cloud cover will keep those temperatures down, but will also show us the entrance of that cold front coming in from the northwest Tuesday evening and sweeping across the bluegrass into Wednesday. That will not only bring us some rain showers, but that cold air behind that front will set things back to where they should be normally for this time of year, right around the upper 50s. So the next few days here, you've got to enjoy them while you've got them. Mostly sunny with temperatures nice and mild for you, closing in on 70 degrees once we get up closer to Election Day. It isn't until the evening hours, though, on Election Day where we see that front get here and bring us the much needed rain heading into Wednesday. But look at Veterans Day there, Michelle, on Friday and into the weekend. Could be seeing a huge flip to our pattern, and cold air from the north could bring us the first flakes of the season.
That is all I'm staring at. I'm not trying to be negative because today is beautiful, but I'm staring at this few flakes. I can't believe it.
No need to get the shovels ready. We're not talking about that, but at least you could start to see that, and shout out to Game of Thrones, winter is coming.
I'm ashamed to say I've never seen that show.
Oh, well, you're behind. Way behind.
You're not supposed to tell people that. So getting kids to do their chores can be a struggle.
But now there's an app that can reward kids digitally. Kenneth Craig reports.
For dusting, I'll get $1. For cleaning my bedroom, I'll get $4.
But Calla Lively no longer gets cash. Her chores are managed and paid for by her dad, online with a site called hourly.help. He uploads the money, assigns the tasks, and waits for results.
When it's interactive and on a device, it seems to make them more excited to do it.
Calla takes before and after photos to prove the chores are done and then sends Dad a text message. He approves the job and the money instantly appears in an online account.
So it gives them a sense of power and authority, and small tasks are getting done for Dad.
Hourly.help is just one of several chore apps and websites. With Chore Monster, parents make a list of chores and kids get points that can be used for rewards like toys or TV privileges. On the You Rule app, kids get coins which can then be redeemed for things on their wish list. Hourly allows kids to get cash or a variety of online gift cards like Amazon or iTunes.
So everything they do is digital. So basically what we're doing is just allowing parents to understand that if you want to have a conversation about money with kids, it's got to be in the format that they understand.
Calla's younger sister is starting to check the iPad for her to-do list.
It's a fun and easier way to do chores.
Charges for the apps vary. Chore Monster is free and funded by advertising. Hourly charges a small fee each time the account is reloaded. And Lively says it's well worth it. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, New York.
Pretty cool app. I wonder if they make one for husbands.
Hey, give us a few extra bucks. That'd be nice.
That would be nice. And I'm not the only one who hasn't seen Game of Thrones, I'm sure.
Well, to quote Game of Thrones again, you know nothing. That's another Game of Thrones quote for you.
I do know something. I know that it's 8:47.
More news when we return.
Good morning. I'm Bill Bryant. A tart tongue livened up Kentucky's sleepy U.S. Senate race. A look at that as we preview Kentucky newsmakers. Coming up on WKYT.
At long last, it's time to vote. So coming up, our special election edition of Sunday Morning. Close up on the candidates, the issues, a look at how the rest of the world is watching our every move. Plus history lessons from Mo Rocca, commentary, and more. Sunday Morning is just ahead.
Good morning. I'm Bill Bryant, and we're glad you're up with us on WKYT. In 2 days, America elects a new president, and Kentuckians will also select a U.S. senator, House members, and state lawmakers. UK political expert Stephen Voss joins me on Kentucky Newsmakers to look over the election, including the attention that some tart language brought to an otherwise low-key Senate race. Did Senator Paul largely try to ignore Gray except for TV ads?
I think it was smart for him to try to have it be a sleepy Senate race. He has the name recognition. He has the party advantage in national politics. We all got to see him when he was running for president. If we watched the Republican debates, he had already done a lot of what he needed to do to try to hold his job, to stay, you know, in our eyesight. He doesn't want people talking about Gray. He doesn't want people looking at the Senate race. Gray's had a really difficult challenge, an uphill battle, because nobody's watching our Senate contest. Everybody's watching at the national stage.
Well, he had an interesting way of trying to get some attention during the debate that was broadcast on KET, the Kentucky Tonight program with Bill Goodman, in which he used some words that you don't normally hear here on Kentucky Newsmakers or over there on KET, the educational channel.
He used the phrase wild-ass philosophies and theories, which got a lot of attention, maybe the most attention the Senate race has received the whole time. I regret one thing, talk about word choice. I referred to it as a cheap way to get attention, and I was quoted in the Herald Leader that way, and it sounds as though I meant like low or coarse. What I really meant is inexpensive, right? What his campaign needed is what we call free media. He needed people here to talk about him. And that was hard to do. And it's sad that, you know, a mild cuss word is what it takes to get people talking about a U.S. Senate race. But it really did make the dent that a lot of his campaigning without cuss words wasn't as able to do.
You would say Paul has the advantage. Gray would have to turn up very strong, I would think, in Lexington, where he's mayor, and in the Louisville area.
Gray's tried a two-part strategy to tell the people who normally vote Republican here that Rand Paul's not their kind of Republican. That's the theories and philosophies part. And secondly, to tell them I'm not a typical Democrat of the sort you normally don't like. I'm a businessman, not a politician. I don't think all Democratic ideas are good ideas. That's been his two-pronged strategy. We'll never know how well it would have worked if people had been focused on the Senate race, because people haven't been focused on the Senate race.
In the 6th District congressional race, the Central Kentucky House seat in Washington, Democrat Nancy Jo Kemper running an uphill race against the Republican Congressman Andy Barr, who is much more well-financed. Right?
She's had the same problem. People are not watching these congressional races when we have a circus at the presidential level to watch. And it's kept those challengers from really being able to get any traction or attention.
You are enjoying teaching this semester, I would take it? Are the kids engaged?
I have to rewrite lectures every 2 days. Right. The FBI director wades in and changes my Wednesday lecture. You know, I have to rewrite it.
We understand. We've been adjusting in news as well. Thank you so much for coming. Now, you can see all of Voss's comments and hear from Secretary of State Allison Lundergan Grimes when we repeat Kentucky Newsmakers this morning at 10 over on the CW Lexington. Now, I'll see you bright and early this week on WKYT This Morning. And join WKYT's award-winning political coverage on Election Day Tuesday. I'm Bill Bryant, and we'll be right back.
Coming up on CBS Sunday Morning, it's the special election issue with a close-up on all the candidates and the issues in this election season. Then, Mo Rocca will give you some history lessons, and there will be commentary and much, much more. That's all coming up on CBS Sunday Morning with Jane Pauley right here on WKYT from 9 to 10:30. And some changes coming up in the weather.
Yes, we have to get to Election Day for the changes to get here, but until that point, we're looking at sunny skies and mild temperatures. Today is included in that. Temperatures in the mid-60s today, tomorrow, and pretty much right up and into Election Day. But finally, we get some cloud cover late in the day on Tuesday. That should bring us some rain showers overnight as we head into Wednesday. That will not only cool us down, but it could also set us up for a big flip in our pattern by next weekend. And we could be talking about the first flakes of the season. A lot going on in the week that is.
I cannot believe that. And I hope everyone's enjoying that extra hour of sleep. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.